Alasdair Macleod is live from Exeter in the UK. He's the head of research for Goldmoney and joins me now. Thank you for joining us on the program. So Trump did sign the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, but he may have done so reluctantly. What message does he send to China by signing it, but then saying he did it out of respect for President Xi, China, and the people of Hong Kong?
Well, he may be trying to mollify President Xi, but I think the fact is quite simple, and that is there is a financial war going on between China and America. And this, to me, is actually quite an aggressive move. And the problem I see is, how does anyone back down from it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We have heard President Trump criticize China over trade. He's done that many, many times. But why do you think he is silent when it comes to China's humanitarian issues?
Well, he is principally involved, if you like, on the trade side. I think that the intelligence and military are a lot more interested, if you like, in the Hong Kong situation, which is, from the American point of view, it's a separate issue, if you like. As far as China is concerned, it is all one issue. So what China is seeing is, on the one hand, President Trump yet again makes, sort of mollifying comments about how, we're keen to do a trade deal and all the rest of it. But on the other hand, his government, if you like, whether it's the US Treasury or the military or the intelligence services, seem to be stirring things up in Hong Kong. And I think the message, as far as China is concerned, is this is not a relationship with America that can be trusted at all. And I don't think that you're going to get any agreement, meaningful agreement. I mean, how many times have we heard that they're about to sign some sort of deal and then it all backs off? President Trump backs off or something happens and it just doesn't happen. I mean, I think a Trump trade deal, we'll only believe it when it actually happens. But until then, just assume it's not going to happen.
Right. We do get mixed messages there. One day we're close to signing a trade deal and the next day, we're not. There's certainly enough intelligence and enough information out there regarding China's human rights abuses, though. And we've heard politicians in the U.S., even from Trump's own party, criticize China, especially over its detention of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. But still nothing from Trump. Do you think he is so desperate to get a trade deal with China that he is willing to overlook humanitarian violations?
Rachel, I think that's difficult to know. The problem with his trade approach, Mr. Tariff Man, or I am Tariff Man, as he said, is that it's driving the world into recession. I mean, we can see that it's already happening in China. We see the people trade with China, particularly Germany, are tipping very definitely into recession. Global trade has come to a halt. It would make sense if he was going to back down, but I see no evidence at all that he understands that it is his trade policy that is affecting the global economy.
Right. He certainly has his ideas about trade. But do you think that the United States even should be coming out about China's human rights issue? Because China, as we know, is always saying this is an internal affair. The U.S. should stay out of it. So do you think that Trump is staying out of it because of that?
I'm not too sure. I don't think so. I think part of the problem is that, the approach that you've just described is effectively a moral argument, if you like. And we're trying to deal with the reality rather than stirring up political differences. If those political differences are stirred up, then I think it makes it a lot more difficult for anyone to come to any agreement. And that, I think, is the point of the legislation that has been passed by Congress and signed into law by President Trump.
So what message, though, do you think it sends to China and the world that America won't stand up to China when it comes to human rights issues?
Well, I don't think that's the important message. I think the important thing is that we've got to watch this relationship extremely carefully, because it's getting to the point where, so far as I can see, it's very difficult for either side to back down. Now, if China gets the feeling that there is no mileage at all in pandering to, the trade talk meme, as it were, which is going absolutely nowhere, then they could begin to take more aggressive steps to reduce their use of the dollar for their settlement. I mean, it was only earlier this month in Brazil at the BRICS meeting that there was a joint statement came out that said they were looking at trading between BRICS. This is the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, without using the dollar at all. And they might indeed introduce a cryptocurrency to do so. Now, I think if the what I would call the financial war that's going on between America and China, if that doesn't cool down, then I think that the Chinese could well accelerate the move away from the dollar, which could have some nasty consequences for the dollar, particularly if the Chinese start reducing their dollar holdings. Because remember, they've got about $1 trillion worth of US treasuries, and they've probably got a further trillion or so of short-term, sort of treasury bills and deposit money and so on and so forth as part of their reserves. If they start winding that down, it could actually have a major effect on the global currency situation.
Yeah, certainly a lot of politics at play there. Alasdair Macleod joining us from Exeter. Thank you so much for your time.